Don't personify your software. It's just software. Welcome to another year of Let's Rewatch, the show where we like to watch movies we loved in our youth and see if they're actually still any good. I'm still Nick.
I'm Bret.
I'm Sam.
I'm Ash.
Am I still in this?
And that's Bryce.
And this time around, we're joined by a guest, John Myers. Thanks for joining us, John.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So John is a improv comedian. That's right, isn't it?
Sketch.
Oh,
yeah.
So I was right the first time. And
I've never
myself
taken an improv
incorrectly.
class.
Okay, sketch comedian in LA with a group called Charming Cheetah.
Yeah, that's right.
You guys do regular shows in LA?
We have kind of postponed the stage thing until we have a pretty good YouTube presence, but I think this year might be the year that we kind of try to do some live shows now that we've got sort of a library established.
Okay, so you're a pre-recorded sketch show.
Yeah, it's been all on YouTube so far.
Okay.
They're like us.
Yeah, I guess so. Which you could find, I assume there's a Charming Cheetah YouTube channel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent.
And you should check out the newscaster one is my favorite one. It's so
good.
funny.
Oh, cool. Glad to hear that.
And so, John, you also have a pretty good filmmaking mind. You're a set designer for the stop-motion animation company Stoopid Buddy.
Yeah, that's right.
Who, of course, we know from Robot Chicken.
Robot Chicken. Your brain just
I skipped a groove there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's sort of their main show, and then they're growing, which is interesting because it's one of the first times I got with a studio and they said, "Oh, we're actually growing." So they had two new shows that were shot recently. One was called Buddy Thunderstruck, which is an all ages show, which I kind of describe as like a NASCAR version of Fantastic Mr. Fox. And then the second show is we are finishing up the second season of Super Mansion, which is actually a Bryan Cranston show. And that's kind of a send up of like the Avengers or superheroes in general.
Okay.
Where can we see that one?
That's going to be on Crackle, which is sort of like Sony's Netflix. And that's where the second season's going to be. But we did just get syndicated onto Cartoon Network's Adult Swim for the first season.
Woo.
So we'll eventually be on Adult Swim.
Cool. So a form of filmmaking which I assume takes a whole lot of patience.
Oh, yeah.
Stop-motion animation. And Bret and Sam, you've done a bunch of work in stop-motion too, right?
Yeah.
Where you know John from.
Surprisingly, no.
No.
But when we first met you, you weren't really in stop motion.
No,
yet.
this is sort of a new thing for me, actually. I've kind of gone all over, film, television, commercial, whatever. And I've been in this world now for like 8 months, I think. And I like it enough that I think I'm just going to stick with it. But
it's so much fun. It's like
great.
A bunch of big kids. Stop motion is just people playing with toys all day.
It's like Uber arts and crafts.
Yeah, it seems crazy fun. I'd love to get involved with that. So the movie we're watching, unfortunately, has nothing to do with stop-motion animation.
Yay.
But I guess it has to do with animation of inanimate objects. We're trying to ride the wave of Westworld mania. So this time we're going to be watching the 1973 film Westworld, the original Michael Crichton movie.
You couldn't think up a non-surfing metaphor for Westworld?
I didn't know I was trying to avoid that. We're riding the horse of mania of Westworld.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Like the shootout at the OK Corral, everybody's crazy about this show. I don't know. I don't have any metaphors for
Except
cowboys.
for you. You're the one person who's not crazy about it.
Yeah, I'm the one with opinions on Westworld, the TV show. I don't know. What order should we tackle this? Because I think we're going to talk about the TV show as much as the movie. And the big question is, like, how
Spoilers.
similar are they?
Yeah, I'm actually a little afraid, to be honest, because I was like, what if this has spoilers for the show? I don't know.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, maybe.
I heard it doesn't, but I don't
okay.
know.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, listener. Stop listening now.
Yeah, I
if you
don't know to
haven't.
what extent our listeners have.
We went really far out of our way to have a no spoilers Star Wars episode when that episode 7 came out. But let's just talk about Westworld, guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
I vote that we wait to talk specifics until after we watch the movie.
I can get on board with
We
that.
talk in generals.
You say that there's no spoilers in the movie, but I can tell you that there already is one. So that's all. I guess I can say more after.
I've been
And
lied
if we're thinking
to.
of the same thing, it was like I sat there waiting in the TV show to see if this thing would happen, and then it did. Well, I think I've seen the movie
Okay.
a long, long time ago and don't have much memory of it. Has anybody else seen it?
I remember we watched the trailer.
Oh yeah, I remember, and it was like the announcer guy was just like Westworld, and then hey cowboys, Westworld, and like he just kept saying
Yeah.
Westworld over and over.
I think this was literally one of the first movies we talked about. Perhaps the first movie we talked about doing for the podcast, but we never got around to it.
Okay.
And then the show finally came out, and we were like, oh shit,
Yeah, we kind of missed
we
that
should
boat.
do this.
Has anybody read the book?
No.
I have not. I've read a lot of Michael Crichton, and I think we as a group are generally Michael Crichton fans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know I am.
Especially Ash worships Jurassic Park.
Yes.
Yeah.
The best movie ever made, ever.
And an equally good book.
He's a big
Yeah.
fan of theme parks then, this
Yes.
author.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are some interesting parallels there. I was listening to another podcast where it's a theme park and I bet it's going to fall apart and people are going to die. And it's like, wow, there is a lot of similarities to
Yeah.
Jurassic Park there.
Maybe he really hated theme parks. I'm tired of bringing my fucking kids to Disney World. Gonna ruin that shit.
But there is like a very existential theme to both of them.
Yes. Yeah.
Like,
Well, it's an interesting way to explore this idea of people thinking they can control science to the point where they can make it entertainment. Mm-hmm. I think it's just a really fun thing to explore.
Yeah, that's definitely in all of his books. The science,
Yeah.
Lack of control over science. I know Sphere was like that. And I'm just wondering if this feels sort of like a haunted house story, like Jurassic Park did, because that's definitely what the book of Jurassic Park feels like. You know, it's like a haunted house thing. You have to spend a night in a haunted house and see if you survive. I wonder if this is going to be the same.
I think it is a little bit. I think so.
Well, the interesting thing that I feel like the show deals with is, Jurassic Park, I feel like is very much about man versus science and trying to control it. But Westworld, there is that element, but I feel like it's also more about like human nature because
Yeah.
it's like morals and like, is it morally okay to do these things to these robots if
These
they're
violent
robots?
delights.
Yeah, exactly. Like it seems to sort of focus more on that.
And if I'm
than
not
Jurassic
mistaken,
Park.
Nick's view on that was definitely yes, it's totally fine to do that to
oh
robots.
my God. They're going to come for you first. They're going
I
to get
know.
you first.
Maybe we should establish that. I'm the person, like, I enjoyed a lot of the Westworld TV show. The acting was just mind-blowing. But I do not invest for a second that robots have feelings and emotions.
Oh my God. Data is a person.
Data is not a person.
Yes,
this is
he
the debate
is.
we have. There
This
was
is
an
where we-
episode of Star Trek The Next Generation where an admiral comes in and says, Data is property, so we're going to disassemble and study him. And they had this whole trial to decide whether Data was a person or property.
Yeah.
And I'm on the side of property.
No.
It's a fucking robot.
You're wrong. You're so
So
wrong.
for you, there's no such thing as a Turing test. You would just say like, nope, no matter what. Just like,
Yeah, it's artificial. In fact, go back and watch season 7 of Next Generation. After the season 6 cliffhanger where Lore and Data are going to join with the Borg and kill everybody, having that fucking robot on that fucking ship as the second officer is the dumbest thing possible in season 7.
False. Maybe in
He
season
just
7.
tried to kill all of you. Stop.
they did the same thing with Captain Picard, though. He was assimilated, and then
Yeah.
they trusted him.
And Next Gen had a really big problem with the Data moment, where I would say more than 70% of the plots were resolved only because Data was there. That everyone on that ship would be dead like hundreds of times over, if not for Data and his robot humanity saving everyone.
Especially
Humanity.
season 7. It's like everybody's dying from radiation except that guy. Everybody's lost their memory except that guy.
The door is closed, but Data can open it.
Data can open it. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, you guys, I'm starting to really think I should watch Star Trek. 'cause
Oh
you guys
my
talk about it a
God.
lot.
Yes.
It's the best of TV.
It's so good.
It's all on Netflix too.
I know.
The first 2 seasons require caution. We should talk about it. But yeah. So I don't buy into the idea that robots have emotions, robots become self-aware. And that's a problem I have with Westworld. But the acting was some of the best acting I've ever seen.
Because
I
they
have a
have
question.
feelings.
Do you feel the same way about animals? Like, do you think that cows have emotion and soul?
Oof, you said two things there, emotion and soul. Absolutely, most animals have emotion. I mean, look at a cat or a dog and you'll see emotion. I definitely think that animals have emotions, but I would say, you know, in a house fire, you can save the child or the dog. It's not even a question. So there's certain levels there.
I
right?
don't know. I mean, dog, right?
You hate babies. That's not a fair
Can
question.
always make another baby.
Right?
You save
Like-
the baby, but you leave the door open for the dog on your way out.
Well, I'm not going to tie the dog down and then grab the baby. Like
Babies have evolved to love fire.
You can only
and
save
to-
your child if you throw your dog into the flames.
No, babies haven't evolved to have emotion yet or a soul. So, you know,
Oh, right.
they're fine.
Animals have emotions and tasty, tasty souls.
Oh my God. How did I marry you?
I think that's an interesting conversation for the show, but I don't think these issues are really going to come in too much for the movie.
Oh, really? I don't think so.
I feel like there was a line that we were about to draw there that I've completely lost.
Too bad you're not a robot. You wouldn't have forgotten.
Yeah. It's either not important or we'll come back to
Or
it.
he would have forgotten because he's programmed to. Oh.
Oh, shit. Yeah, Nick, what does this photo look like to you?
Doesn't look like anything to me.
Yeah. What does it?
All right. So, of course, this movie was written and directed by Michael Crichton. This was the first theatrical movie that he directed. He directed a TV movie called Pursuit, also based on one of his books. But Westworld was his big theater movie, or his first theater movie. Great Train Robbery was in 1979, 6 years later. And I think that was the big one that most people remember, you know, as far as his film work goes.
I've never seen that one.
It's a pretty big one,
It's
but
a
it's
film.
like one of those mid 70s ones that it's not on our radar right now.
Oh.
But I think he just kind of stopped the filmmaking side for a while and started letting other people translate his books. Of course, Jurassic Park. One of my favorites is Andromeda Strain.
Oh, yeah.
Love that.
I don't know if I've seen the movie, but I saw like a newer version of it. That was very
They
good.
did a TV movie remake
Yeah.
recently.
That was good.
Rising Sun, Disclosure, Congo, Sphere. Lots of good
Congo's-
movies that we like. Congo is rough.
I thought, okay, so was Sphere really rough? Because I remember that as like a movie that I didn't ever want to watch again.
I rewatched it recently and I was not very stoked on it.
I remember loving the book and thinking the movie was a disappointment, but not that bad. I thought it was a pretty decent movie,
Okay.
but didn't come close to the book.
The cast is amazing, though. It's Dustin Hoffman, Samuel L. Jackson, and Sharon Stone.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
That's a good cast.
Samuel L. Jackson is everywhere.
He's everywhere, and he deserves to be.
But you want a shitty movie based on a Crichton book, The 13th Warrior? Do you guys
I don't even
remember
know what that
one?
is.
That was Antonio
No.
Banderas,
Antonio
wasn't
Banderas.
it? Yeah. The only scene I remember from that movie was when he's sitting around the fire with the guys and they're speaking another language, and he learns their language just by listening to them
Oh my
over
God,
that
that
5-minute
movie.
conversation.
Oh,
And
it
they
was so bad.
they insult his mom, and then all of a sudden he's able to like give a comeback just because he was listening for a
And the
couple
line
minutes.
was, how'd you learn our language? And he's like, I listened. Like, that was,
Yeah.
like fucking explanation. No, dude, no.
No.
Yeah. What?
If that was true, everyone in California would be able to speak Spanish.
Yeah. And I can't.
Yeah, there have been some shitty Crichton movies,
Wow.
but there have been some really good ones.
You can't all be Jurassic Park.
No.
I was such a huge fan of Timeline, the book, because it set this idea that if you really traveled 500 years in the past, you wouldn't be able to breathe because the air would be different.
Right.
You're in England, but you don't really speak the same English that these people do, so you can't talk to anybody.
Yeah.
So then they make a movie, they go back in time, everybody's fine, and they're talking to everybody around them perfectly fine. Like the whole point of the book was just washed away. So sometimes the books don't quite translate.
Yeah, what did we watch the other day that had a huge... Oh, it was Star Trek.
Star Trek
Sorry.
Voyager, yeah. And that was last
I think
night.
you guys talk about Star Trek in every single episode.
It's so
Listeners,
good.
please let me know.
This reminds me of Star Trek.
The best Star Trek observation was the episode we just watched was the ship gets taken over and they strand everyone on a planet and take away all their technology and the communicators. And Sam just looks at me and is like, hey, they don't have their communicators anymore. Like, they won't be able to talk to each other.
Because they don't speak the same language.
No one speaks the same language on the ship.
And they don't have the universal translators anymore.
Yeah, that fucking universal translator is frustrating.
Maybe they had a
Magic language
TARDIS.
device.
They have a more science-y TARDIS.
It's a clip-on TARDIS.
It's a clip on. Yeah, it's a little. Yeah. Sorry, I just hit my mic like 4 times. Sorry, Bret. Anyway, yeah. Story flaw. One of the few.
Come on, Star Trek. Get with it.
Could we also talk about the animatronic gorillas in Congo? Because, man, like Jurassic Park does CG in 93 and they kill it. And then these guys make these animatronics in maybe 95, 96? And they're just awful.
Yeah.
Congo was rough, but it did give me one lasting nightmare. The scene where there's like lava flows and the gorillas are just falling into the lava.
Oh,
and
yeah.
disappearing in the little flash of fire was the scariest thing I've seen on film.
Yeah.
Just that your life could be over instantly because you fell in lava.
But now this is a morbid thought, but I've talked to some people about that and they said you don't die instantly when you fall into
no.
lava.
You don't. No, I went to the on the Big Island in Hawaii. They have a museum, and in the museum they have this suit of this guy who fell in the lava.
But he didn't
And-
fall all the way in.
Right,
In
just
his
like
defense.
his foot went in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like his foot just didn't disappear. Like it just sort of disintegrated part of the boot and like damaged his foot. But he survived. But I don't think he ever walked again. But
Yeah, they
kinda what
say
happened
that
to
your
Darth Vader.
nerves last a lot longer than you expect them to.
Oh my God. I don't want to
I mean,
know
that's
this.
a
making
I'm
Nick's-
sorry, that's a totally horrible thought, but like,
But does it melt your
Making the
brain so
nightmare
you
worse.
can't
Yeah,
feel?
but your
Replace
brain
one
is in the
horror with
skull,
another.
and the skull is the toughest thing you got. Your brain's gonna last the longest.
No, not if it overheats.
Okay, no, it's instant death, you guys. It's instant death.
Gollum had a
You don't
really
feel
bad
a
day.
thing.
Gollum. Oh.
We're not advocating falling in lava.
No,
Kids, don't fall in lava.
that's not the way to go.
the small percentage of people listening in Hawaii.
No, there's like one kid standing next to the lava and like listening to this at the same time, and he's like, "Oh, thank God."
Thank you for warning me.
So our stars here are Yul Brynner, James Brolin, Dick Van Patten, and Majel Barrett. Speaking of Star Trek: The Next Generation, Gene Roddenberry's wife and voice of the computer is in
No
this
shit.
movie.
She's in
Wait,
this?
voice of the computer?
You didn't know that?
No. I know,
Okay.
but is she gonna be? Is she a robot? Maybe she's a robot.
I do not remember
She's been-
what
she
role
did that
plays in
role
this movie.
forever.
Yeah, so it's appropriate that we're talking about Star Trek.
Is that
See?
the same lady that like died and they like recorded? They like are making her say something
Yes.
for the
so
Star
for the
Trek
new
con?
Star Trek series this year, they're resampling all of her computer dialogue from Next Generation.
Crazy.
And they're going to be using her voice for the computer in the new Star Trek show.
And they're trying really hard to contrive scenarios in which she can say words that she's already said.
There was something like, which was it, Siskel or Ebert? One of the two had throat surgery and lost the ability to talk.
Right. Ebert, right?
Yeah.
But he had a voice synthesizer made with his own voice. So
Wow.
he could type original text and it would use his synthesized voice.
Wow.
That's what these podcasts are going to be used for.
Oh, God. I don't talk nearly enough then.
Well, that's what they're going to have to do with James Earl Jones, when he's not around anymore for Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Or
gonna keep
Carrie
milking that Vader.
Fisher. Right.
Supposed to be in the third sequel, but it can't be now.
Well, they've wrapped.
The second.
The third sequel. Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I guess we're just gonna have CG Carrie Fisher forever now.
So this is one of Yul Brynner's last movies. He's most famous for, I think, The King and I and The Ten Commandments. And he was also in Future World, the sequel to this movie. And Future World
interesting.
was his second to last movie.
Was Future World more popular than this movie? Because I feel like I've heard of Future
don't
World
think
more.
so.
Okay. Maybe
Really?
not.
I
Tomorrowland.
think Westworld is way more popular.
Okay.
Is that one show with Planet Express and yeah.
See, you guys, you can't talk about talking about Star Trek too much because I'm the one that's always talking about Futurama. James Brolin was in a lot of Westerns, but I think we probably know him best as the dad of Josh Brolin, who we saw in Goonies and No Country for Old Men. And Dick Van Patten is one of those comedic actors from the 60s and 70s. We actually saw him recently, and he was the Abbott in Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Oh.
Hey, Abbott.
I did not know that. He also makes my dog food.
What?
What?
Wait, what?
Dick Van Patten makes your dog food?
Excuse me?
Well, he did. He just passed away. He created
Still,
and
what the
owned.
fuck are you talking about?
Is that like Newman's own dog food?
Yeah, no. Natural Balance. Dick Van Patten's Natural Balance.
Another person that 2016 takes away. Fuck
Yeah.
you, 2016.
And that was a rough last week.
Yeah.
It's like you had Carrie Fisher and then Debbie Reynolds the next day.
Yeah.
The saddest part about that is like the fact that her daughter's death was probably too much for her to handle, and that's what killed her. It's so sad.
Well, they lived right next to each other.
Oh,
Carrie Fisher bought a house.
It makes it even better.
And then she, like, her house next door went up for sale, and she's like, "Mom, buy it." And then they lived like next door to each
Oh
other.
my God, I'm gonna cry. All right, I'll see you later, guys. I'll be in the next room.
All right, let's talk about Westworld. What are we expecting? Ash, what are you expecting from a 1973 Westworld?
Well, I can tell you what Bryce was expecting. He looked at me and he said, "Wasn't this movie shot in 1950?" And I said, "No." But anyway, anything past like the 80s to Bryce was just ancient.
Are you thinking of Metropolis?
That was way earlier.
Maybe.
I don't know. But I don't know what I'm expecting because we watched the trailer and it didn't look great, but it looked like it would be a fun, bad movie to watch. Okay. But I think part of the reason why I really love Jurassic Park is I am also obsessed with theme parks. And I'm obsessed with the idea, not just theme parks, but like I'm obsessed with the idea of the behind the scenes of theme parks. Like I'm obsessed with the idea that there's all these like hidden tunnels in Disneyland where they like shuttle people out of Disneyland so that they don't legally die on Disneyland's presence. Like that's what fascinates me. So I think that's why.
So the
like
death
the
part
idea.
of theme parks.
the darkness under.
Illuma Disney.
Yeah. So that's what I like about the idea of this Western park with the robots and all that stuff. And so I think I'll enjoy it, but Bryce and I were talking about this earlier where it's like movies from the 70s have such a slower pace that's the factor for me that I'm not sure if that'll be hard for me.
Well, I'll just take that as a segue into my expectations. I don't really have much expectation. I have hope. I kind of hope it will be a slow burn 70s sci-fi.
Okay.
I really like slow burn 70s sci-fi. And based on Michael Crichton, think Andromeda Strain, I think this could be that.
And I mean, the HBO show has a very slow burn, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I feel like the first 2 episodes, fucking nothing
Maybe
happens.
a little too slow sometimes.
So, yeah.
But there's this style of slow burn that was in the 60s and 70s, like 2001 and Andromeda Strain, that had an aesthetic that I liked.
Oh, I hate that in 2001. I know everybody loves 2001, but I can't stand that.
Can't take
like 20-minute shot of the ship like docking. I just, oh God.
Dude, we just saw it for the first time with John.
Oh, really?
Actually. Me for the first time anyway, like on a big screen, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah, I've seen it a lot of times, and that was my first time on a big screen, and holy shit, it's a different movie.
Yeah, that's what I was told by a couple other people I talked to who just love Kubrick, and they're like, if you watch 2001, it has to be on a big screen.
All about the grandeur of the shots.
And it was phenomenal. It was like a religious experience watching that movie.
Well, and the music too, because that movie was designed around the classical music on those long shots. And when you're listening to classical music on tiny speakers, it doesn't do it justice. You have to have that big sound system because it just is an incredible experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Probably also doesn't help that I got food poisoning while watching it.
Well, no,
Like
that would
progressively
definitely
feeling worse and worse as that slow shot was happening. I'm just feeling more and more nauseous.
That's why I
Get to
don't
the
like
point.
Titanic.
Yeah.
I feel like as much as I am a quality snob, I don't like to endorse that like it's the only way to do things. But like having seen 2001 like that, I feel like if you ever get the opportunity to see it on the big screen, it's a must.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the rest of the film. It's just that one shot like drives me crazy. Because as a video editor, I'm just like, cut to another angle, cut to another angle, cut to another goddamn angle. Oh my God.
That's
And
what's
that
so
was shot
lovely
in
about
70
it.
millimeter, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it benefits from a big projector.
Yeah.
It also
Yeah,
doesn't
but-
have like a linear narrative story either, you know?
Yeah.
It's got 3 different acts, but each one is with different characters, you know?
Anyway,
Anyway,
welcome
Bret-
to our Stanley Kubrick podcast.
What do you expect, Brett?
So I want the movie to be starring Anthony Hopkins as the younger Anthony Hopkins in the prequel to the TV show Westworld. But I'm not going to get that.
Oh, sweetheart. Oh, no.
And so because I'm not going to get that, I already feel like I'm setting myself up for a little bit of disappointment. But I don't know. Like the concept of the TV show was pretty great. The whole like sentient robots and like, do we deserve not to be living this torturous zoo life? If the movie's in any way similar, I think I'm really going to dig it.
Robot Zoo.
RoboZoo, yeah. But yeah, so high hopes, but I may be disappointed because I really loved the show.
All right, Sam, what do you expect?
I don't know. I feel like I'm going in blind here. I haven't seen the trailer. I know nothing about it. It's 70s, so it could go either way. I feel like I either love or hate 70s stuff. There were some good 70s westerns, I felt, so maybe it'll work.
All right, what are you thinking, John?
I am also going in blind, but I just really hope that the robots actually look like robots. And like they actually there's like a jawline, or they look like a Chuck E. Cheese animatronic or something like that. Like that would be cool.
That is the Westworld I would want to go to.
Hello.
On the show, they're so realistic. Like you can't tell at all. It's wild. Like
Well, you know, John, on the show, they're actually humans. They're being played by humans. You know that, right?
wait, slow down.
I represent the latest technological developments.
All right, so what do you expect, Bryce?
So I've seen the original growing up as a kid. This seems to be a theme. I usually have seen the original, but never the sequel. It's another good animated kids film. Story of Fievel going to America. Yeah, I don't know. If it's anything like the first one, I think I'm going to like it. Good kids film, good for the family.
All right. So we're going to rewatch Westworld, which we're going to have to rent through iTunes or Google. It's not available on Netflix.
Oh.
Sorry. Don't be sad. So you might want to check out the original Westworld and join us when you're done. Have we got a vacation for you? You. So we just rewatched Westworld, and let's address the elephant in the room. That movie took a lot from like everything that Michael Crichton's ever done.
Yeah. You were right, John. It was very Jurassic Parky.
Yeah, it did feel that way.
I really
wish-
like it's the part when Super Mario jumped down the pipe into the underground level.
Wow.
That was all I had, guys.
All right, so thanks for listening to Let's Rewatch. We're going to do this every 2 weeks.
Did you notice how this movie stole a lot from Chucky?
Yeah.
All I could realize was that that's exactly where they got the Itchy and Scratchy Land episode of The Simpsons from. That's all I could think of.
Yeah, I do love this idea of the unstoppable robot. It will never stop. It will always come after you. Even after it's broken and it's really not a threat anymore, and it's kind of leaking battery acid and it's on fire and it keeps falling down the stairs, it'll keep coming for you.
Though apparently all he had to do was throw water on it.
Yes.
this whole time. Sixth Sense
Yeah.
it. That's all, or not Sixth
Signs.
Sense. What was the other? Signs.
Signs
Yes.
it.
Swing away, Meryl. Yeah, I really felt like this was a dry run for Jurassic Park. I feel like somebody read the book and then they're like, well, what do you think about, shouldn't there be another area with dinosaurs? And then Crichton's like, all right.
Brilliant. I'll steal this idea and make millions.
Yeah. It just felt like he was kind of hitting all the same notes, but they weren't refined as they were with Jurassic Park.
Maybe Jurassic Park was originally the sequel to Westworld.
Oh.
Dinosaur World.
That would make it the best sequel of all time.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because I was saying, there's even, I don't know if you remember from the book, John, but there's even in the book, there's a scene where they're trapped in the control room with, I believe, a velociraptor or something, or like a velociraptor's coming, but they're trapped. And so that kind of reminded me of the scene in the control room where they're all dying because of the oxygen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I got now.
Yeah, and
They're
like,
trying to get out.
whose fucking bullshit idea was it to make a room that was airtight, that you had computer-controlled doors that you couldn't fucking get out of and would kill you if the power went out?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And also your other huge thing that you noticed, Ash,
Which one?
that his vision is based on movement.
Yes, his vision is based on
Yeah,
movement.
Bret said that too.
Yeah, that guy had
that's
like
because-
12 lines of resolution for his vision.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
And that was after they improved his vision.
Exactly. That was the upgrade.
Yeah.
The resolution on my watch is so much better than his vision.
Yeah, like my Commodore 64, you could at least see arms and legs. Like,
The resolution on my flip phone like 10 years ago had better screen lines. Like, I don't know.
How did they do that effect, though?
The low res pixel effect.
Yeah, on film.
My bet is that they actually had a CRT that they pointed a camera at, or maybe even had like they pointed a camera at 1/8 of a CRT and had the image scaled on that CRT.
I know there was a like special effects credit in the credits.
A
Sure.
single special
Somebody
effects
did that
credit.
work.
Yeah.
Just one.
One person doing special
One
effects.
special effect. Though the reflective eyes was pretty cool.
yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not only is it a cool effect, but I really enjoyed having some just super subtle thing that identified the robots.
Yeah.
You know, I guess it was the hand thing too.
Yeah. We were talking about the difference between that and the TV show and how, like, in the TV show, they don't really have one specific thing that defines who's a host and who's like a guest. But you can tell by the way the people act, you know, like the guests are all in awe and they're not as in character. So yeah, it's interesting.
Except for the main guy who's like, oh, what's up, burnt ass robot? I'm just going to calmly stand here while you almost attack me.
Yeah, he was very calm through that. But I think there's, in the TV show, there's not like an identifying characteristic that you can see, but there's always like people are sort of running the Turing test every now and then. Like you just ask them a specific question
That's
and the
true.
way they respond, you know.
Yeah, like it's a scripted line of dialogue.
Well, and they have a safety
like,
word too.
hate.
Like at any time you can say freeze all motor functions and you're okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
guest can do
Or
that?
you just say like,
Seems like
Or you
anybody
just say
could it.
cacao.
yeah, I'd like to assume the guest can do it. Or you just say something like, have you heard about the new iPhone? And they say, I don't know what that is. And then you know.
Yeah.
So, Ash, I think everything interesting were things that you noticed.
Oh, cool.
James Brolin looked exactly like Christian Bale.
Yes. So much like Christian Bale.
Didn't he?
I thought he looked
Old Christian Bale.
I think
I mean, young Christian Bale. You know what I mean?
wait.
Young
Which
Christian
which
Bale.
one was he? Was he Mario or the other guy?
Other guy.
Luigi.
Luigi.
I thought he looked just like Josh Brolin. I would have known that was Josh Brolin's dad even if you hadn't said
I
anything.
thought he looked like Harrison Ford a little bit. Like
Yeah, I got the Harrison Ford too.
So just the most handsome
you-
people ever.
Get off my horse.
yeah.
If you skim back through it, then I bet you'll see Christian Bale. Because once she pointed it out, it was distracting.
Yeah, I pointed it out really early on too, and it was
Like,
the thing. the
which
whole
Christian Bale are we talking here?
Newsies.
time. Like American Psycho,
Okay.
or not I'm sorry. Is that the right one? American Psycho? Yeah.
Yeah, his hair was longer, but yeah.
Yeah, but with long
I
hair.
can
Like
see that.
Little Women.
When he like smiled, he especially looks like Christian
Yeah.
Bale.
Yeah, he's got that smug Bale
But
confidence.
boy, how about his character arc? Huh?
Oh, yeah.
It was so well
At a
written.
beginning, a middle, and end.
Yeah, this wasn't much for characters. It did kind of just turn into. Weren't you saying, John, it was like a haunted house movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just
Oh, yeah.
degraded into that real quick, and it
Wow.
wasn't really a piece for characters.
No.
John, 2 for 2.
Yeah.
My God, knocking it out of the park.
I wonder if the original conception of this film was a conversation that was like, how could you do a sword fight in a movie where neither
Oh
of the
my
fighters
God.
had any training and still have it make sense?
The worst sword fight in history.
And halfway through, John pointed out, he's like, his sword is bent. And then, yes, it was like totally crooked.
I mean, slow burn sci-fi and sword fights just don't work well together. I think we've learned.
There was
'Cause
literally
that's what it
like a
looks
burn
like,
in this movie, and it was really fast.
Yeah.
There was
Was
no
it
slow
because
burn.
he twirled around like 40 times? Like he was dancing a goddamn like ballet.
He just touched the flame to him, and he was like, "Woof!"
Yeah, but he
Yeah.
burned for a long ass time, just twirling around.
Was anybody else expecting a skeleton robot face after the acid to the face?
That's the Terminator. And
I was expecting more carnage there. Although that little bit of like melted flesh that fell down his shirt,
Oh, that was
that
good.
was a nice touch.
That was cool.
yeah,
Yeah, I liked the idea of the end of the film of like, I wish the whole film, and I guess that's Jurassic Park, but I wish the whole film was about the park. You know, it felt like it took too long to get to that. And I wish the whole film was about the park falling apart. And we saw more of him running around unsure of whether or not someone's human or robot
Yeah.
and like trying to get out of there.
I really like this point because that's kind of a critique of the TV show.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
spoilers for the TV show, but it takes the entire season to even get to the point where robots start killing people.
Yeah.
But-
I mean, it's definitely a slow burn, but I feel like there's more character development
Yes,
going on.
they filled
so-
a lot of time with character in this.
Well,
And
that's what Brett and
yeah.
I were talking about too, is that the show and the movie are clearly asking two different questions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because the
Yeah.
television show went full on consciousness question.
yeah.
Yeah, totally.
And you guys were really into that idea before we watched the movie, and I kind of stopped myself from saying, this movie is not about that at all. It doesn't go into intelligence or self-awareness. It's just the disaster of them. They're going crazy. Shit's broken.
Right.
Which could still be interesting. You know, like that could still be really interesting. I just wish I wish it was almost like Last Man on Earth, but last man alive in this crazy fucked up gone wrong amusement park.
It was kind of that, although
But
we
only
don't
for
know
the
how
last-
many other people survived.
Yeah, but I'm saying like I wish that was like the main, like the inciting incident of the movie was shit goes down and the rest of the film is him surviving, trying to get out of Westworld, you know?
There's notes of brilliant stuff like that. Like at the end, the Black
girl?
Knight and the Queen just sitting in the throne
Yeah.
was almost really creepy.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't feel like that note really resonated, but the idea, I really like that idea.
Or I liked the idea of him thinking that he's helping this girl, but she ends up being a robot.
That was my favorite
Like,
part.
yeah, totally. Like there could be a whole movie like that, you know?
Or if
The
that
whole
had-
film
if
could
that
be
had
that.
happened like so much earlier in the film, and then she was like his escape companion, and she turned out to be a robot. But like they just did it all in one scene, and it was kind of a bummer.
Well,
Yeah.
it had so much potential, obviously, that we've seen from the show, but it was so flat. Like they didn't take it anywhere, and all they did was talk. Like it was all exposition of like they're robots, see, and their hands. Like it wasn't done in like a cool cinematic shot of like.
And
you know.
did I look away at
Yeah.
the part where they showed how fucked up the robot's hands were, or did we never actually?
No,
see that?
it's in the beginning when he
It
gives
was
a
the
tip.
dinner scene.
Yeah, basically their joints and their fingers have like
See,
extra
I didn't
goo.
see it either.
It's,
Yeah, I didn't notice it either, but
It
yeah,
was really quick to be such an important element.
yeah.
Like I went to get a candy bar and completely missed where he dropped his gun.
oh yeah.
You know, there's just stuff that I It's so easy to miss. It happens so fast. I feel like Jonah Nolan watched this movie and had all of the same ideas that we're talking about. And it's like, we could explore this and go much deeper and, make a whole TV show about that.
And that's kind of what I was going to say is like the show had, although they asked different questions, the show and the movie had the same when are the robots going to go bad theme. And the thing is in the movie, they handled it by just like at the beginning, oh, the robots are fucked up. And then like when it finally happens, you're just like, oh, oops, like he's dead. Like that was obviously a weird thing that happened. But in the show, it was, you knew it was going to happen, but it was all about when the robots choose to harm people. Like like the main question of Westworld, the series, was not, is Dolores going to kill someone, because she fucking was. It was it wasn't that she was incapable of killing someone. It's that she was, her emotions were like, I'm not going to fucking kill anyone because I'm the good guy. And then she finally chooses to be the killer. And that was the thing the whole season hinged on, was when does she choose to kill?
Well, and in the movie, I understood the gunslinger wanting to kill the main character because he obviously had a grudge or something. But did they say why the rest of the robots all started killing everybody?
No. They kind of went over it in that one scene about it being an infection.
Right.
They said,
It was
just
something
like
that was
the
spreading.
show. The show, Bernard talks about a thing that's spreading.
Up until the end, though, only the robots who are designed to be some sort of attack robot, and the snake, too. Like, it's a snake is an attack creature. But, like...
What happened in Rome World?
Well, yeah, like all those other robots that aren't attack creatures, why did they turn?
Why did it get all Caligula?
Are we left to read between the lines and think that the gunslinger had that same crisis that in the TV show Tandy Newton, the lady running the whorehouse, like the gunslinger had the same crisis that she had, but they just didn't show it on screen. Like he just kind of had enough of being treated that way.
Maybe.
And broke down.
I feel like just in the 70s, people's understanding of computers was different than now anyways.
Yes.
And it was just this idea of like, oh, a bit of code got messed up and now they're broken. That was as far as it went.
But it was more like a hardware thing, right? Because they didn't really even talk about coding. They were like, "Oh, her balance is off. I'm wiggling wires in her feet." Like, like
I made
change
that
the bunny
comment
antennas.
too.
Yeah, it's
Where I was like, the idea of there being coders and people like developing behaviors is like not even fleshed out in this film.
Yeah.
They just, that's just so far beyond.
Like, we don't know how the robots work. It's like, fucking someone does.
Right. That's a real problem, you guys. Do you guys remember I don't know what it's called. There's this movie where basically a guy spills a bottle of wine on the keyboard and his computer becomes self-aware.
Right, that happens.
what?
That was the mentality in the 80s.
You wouldn't believe how many times.
It's broken, so,
Yeah.
Well, we brought up war
All
games
sorts of
too,
shit
where
can
it's like in order to break into the Pentagon, you have to play like a game of Hangman or whatever it was. Like that's just the way they thought things worked back then.
Yeah.
Or like the movie Hackers, where they're hacking and it's just like the graphics, the 3D representation of them hacking is absolutely
That's another
ridiculous.
one I really don't remember.
Oh man, we should watch it just to laugh at that.
like do you remember Masterminds?
No.
The opening
board
sequence
game?
of that is the main character
Oh, the
plays
game?
a fucking like haunted house video game, and if he chooses the right door to go in the house, he hacked the system or something.
Oh,
What?
Yeah, that's pretty much how hacking worked in the like 80s movie mentality.
Yeah. Everybody had this philosophy that the guy who built this software had built in a backdoor
Yeah.
based on some game.
Guys,
In Hackers, they're like flying around like a CG world, like a CG buildings and shit.
Wow.
And that's like the computer.
guys, was Ferris Bueller the only good hacker in the 80s? Because he hacked
did
into
he
the
hack?
school system and changed his grades with the Linux.
Changed how many days he was
I thought you meant
Yeah,
also
absolutely.
him in War Games too, because that's Matthew Broderick.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
When he's like 18.
That's funny.
Oh, wow.
I've never
I
seen
guess
that.
Ferris Bueller was the most plausible one I could think of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I asked for a car. I got a computer.
My favorite is when hackers are going against each other in movies, and it's just like, who can type the fastest?
Yeah.
I'm the one winning because I can type the fastest.
Was that Swordfish, where they were like, hack this system in a minute or I'm going to kill you. And he's like, the fuck? And like just slams the keyboard with his fists and then somehow it works.
I guess.
Did this film seem like it was all ADR to anybody else? Because the sound effects and sometimes voices were a full second off for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, the audio mix was rough. There's, after Ash pointed it out at the end when, he's walking through the dungeon, the sound effect of the footsteps were just nowhere near the neighborhood
Yeah.
of when
they were
he's
so
Yeah,
odd.
that's true. Of the guy, the burnt guy, the robot. He was like
Both of them.
walking
Even
slow
Mario.
and the What was his actual name? I don't even remember.
Mario.
We don't know because we didn't care about any of the characters.
I
Yeah.
know.
Did you notice when that one guy said robits?
Yes.
We have no control over the robots.
I was so happy.
Yeah, that tickled me.
Did you notice when the music just turned into a door stopper with reverb on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody's just like twanging that door
Twang.
stopper.
Yeah.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
Genius.
Oh man. The sound design was so bad in
It was
this
pretty
movie.
bad.
There were times where it literally sounded like there was a vacuum, like someone was vacuuming in the other room, but it was the sound design. It was so bad.
Also, the score was like the cheesiest Western.
Yes.
Like it felt like City Slickers. I was like, come on.
Yeah.
The bar fight Benny Hill song.
Yeah.
That's
totally.
one of my favorite things about the TV show is the way they handled music. Like they'll
Yeah.
take these modern songs and run them through that player piano.
Yeah.
Like I think they sat down and said, "Man, I just don't want twangy cowboy music."
Yeah. I was talking.
And they came up with brilliant stuff.
Totally. I was talking with Bret about the music in Westworld, and it's all like modern songs in a sort of old timey way. I think to kind of remind the viewers, like, this is not really in the past. Because it's easy to like watch Westworld, the TV show, and kind of get caught up in the westernness of it and start to think of it as the past. So it was like
Yeah.
instantly.
I think that music solves a lot of problems.
Yeah.
I think it also punctuates the beginning of a loop, because I don't know if anyone else noticed, but when a loop starts over, the same song plays. So
Through the player piano.
through the player piano, so
Yeah.
it punctuates
Oh.
and perhaps almost is the thing that gives the command to restart a loop. But if you watch the show and listen for it, because I think the music might even have a little more to do with it than just like.
I wouldn't be surprised because they're clearly putting some thought into the music.
And there's always not only that, but at the beginning of every loop, there's always a close up of it, of the piano. Like, I think there's more importance to the music than we know right now. But
Yeah, I didn't drill down that far.
I personally, I like the idea of the modern songs through an old Western sort of flair. But to me, I always find it very distracting because I spend 10 minutes trying to figure out what song it is. I'm like, I know the song.
Yeah.
What is the song? And I'm not paying attention to the show at all.
That's like every animated movie. I spend 10, 15 minutes trying to figure out who the actors are.
Yes, the voice actors.
Yeah.
And then once you do, you're like, oh shit.
Well,
Now
see,
I can
feel
only
like
see
I
that
didn't notice
person.
enough because I didn't notice any modern songs out of there. Like, what were the modern songs
in the TV show.
Yeah.
In the TV show,
Everything that
they're
played
all
on the player piano was
yeah.
a modern song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what? My
Creep.
favorite was
Yeah, some
there was
Radiohead.
the
Really?
Yeah.
when they got into one of those fringe towns and there was like this crazy orgy scene. It was a Nine Inch Nails.
Oh yeah, I do remember.
I
that one.
did not
just
notice
worked brilliantly.
any of that.
There was a Nirvana
Yeah.
song on there.
Uh-huh.
I think
Blew your mind.
a part of that is
Yeah.
like I think the reaction you had, Ash, is what they were going for though, is like the loop. This seems familiar. You know?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting point.
Huh.
I'm curious to see. I'm trying to look up the songs. Westworld.
So while you're doing that, as we were watching it, I think, and I don't know if this was the right thing to do, but we're kind of making connections like, oh, this character in the movie is this character in the TV show. And so you clearly had the two guys rolling into town together. One had been there before.
Yeah.
One's his friend. You had Mad Joe Barrett running the whorehouse, you know. So you had a lot who were the same characters. But I think it's interesting that Dolores is Yul Brynner, the gunslinger.
Is
Right?
it? Or
Wouldn't
is
you
he
make that
like,
connection?
he's more the Man in Black to me.
I don't know. The Man in Black he's a guest.
Yeah.
Like
but he's
when you talk
also,
about the robot that falls apart and starts killing people, that's that character.
It's a good comparison. I think they just split it into two. Honestly, like they took the costume of the Man in Black and the villainness of it, and the broken machine, and separated them because this movie showed that they didn't belong in the same body.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like the Man in Black was just an entirely new concept.
Oh,
added into the show.
He's very, at least watching it, he very much felt like the villain.
This ominous piece of shit that keeps showing
because
up.
the robot is the protagonist and you're worried for her safety from this
Well,
villain.
I wasn't, because robots aren't people.
Oh my God. You're wrong.
There's definitely the presence of the black hat that I think that you know,
What was your song
those
thing?
two characters filled.
Yeah.
So the songs are Ain't No Grave by Johnny Cash, Something I Can Never, and then it's cut off.
Yeah, Something I Can Never Have by Nine Inch Nails. That's the
Okay.
one that I loved.
A Forest. Oh, wait, no, that's the Fake Plastic Trees, Radiohead.
Yeah.
Motion Picture Soundtrack, Radiohead. House of the Rising Sun, The Animals, which is the one that it's been driving me crazy. I'm like, I know the song.
Yeah.
And that's all I have.
Yeah, it wasn't every episode.
Yeah.
It was just a bunch of them.
There's specifically, I think it might be House of the Rising Sun is the one that plays at the beginning of every loop. I could be wrong,
Okay.
but
Because it's House
back and
of the Rising Sun.
yeah, I don't know. But before we started watching it, we were talking about spoilers, like what, you know.
Yeah.
So I think if you didn't know anything about Westworld, the thing that would be spoiled for you is the fact that there's other worlds, which is the huge reveal at the end of season 1.
Yeah. Or that there's
And
going to be.
They just led right with it from the very beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
That's a thing I was thinking about too, because as I was watching the TV show, I'm like, are there going to be other parks?
Yeah, and then I just figured halfway through, I'm like, okay, well, no, they decided to simplify it. Just like Jurassic Park, the movie simplifies the plot of the book. I was like, okay, they just simplified it, and then it actually ends up to be, you know, the plot twist.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, of those three options,
I was going to ask, which would you choose?
it's definitely not Westworld.
I know, right?
That's some boring shit.
I feel the same way.
And am I the only one? I hope I'm not the only one. Like, the idea of shooting people and having sex with robots, not interested. Like,
I pretty much said almost the same thing.
I don't get the appeal.
Yeah.
I think maybe Roman World would be fun.
Yeah.
I'd rather
That's
do the
just a
medieval
giant
world.
orgy. Yeah, medieval world.
Yeah, I'm totally medieval world.
I mean, those two are definitely more interesting.
yeah.
Like you learn
I mean,
to
think about it. Sword fight?
Yeah, you learn to sword fight. You learn
Totally.
to like use a bow and arrow. You
Well,
joust.
also,
like,
I mean,
Apparently,
they make-
it's really easy though. You just like hit the other dude's shield over
Right.
and over
And
again.
then your sword bends, but they die anyways. But they
Yeah.
make their own animals, so of course they would make dragons.
Oh shit!
Holy
I mean,
shit.
Fuck yeah.
there's gonna be a dragon fight in the medieval Westworld.
oh my god, I want to go there.
Okay, but is your answer still the same if you throw in Eastworld?
Okay, so minutes, possibly seconds before they revealed Eastworld,
Yes.
I said out loud, like, does this premise only work with Westworld? Like, how would the TV show be just horrifyingly racist if a bunch of white people went into Asia and started like raping and killing everyone? And then like, how could they do Eastworld? And then they walk into the next room and there's fucking samurais, and I have no idea how they're gonna handle that.
Well, they're not because
Yeah.
it's over. It's never gonna come to fruition. Like,
I don't know. I think it would be interesting if the next season starts us completely at square one in Eastworld, and we build up
That'd
to
be
that
interesting.
same point.
I understand Westworld much more because you could throw me into Westworld and I could probably figure out how to ride a horse and maybe shoot a gun.
Right.
I am never going to be a samurai. I'm never going to be a ninja. Like, I'm just not going to develop
with that
those
Sure you
skills.
can. Tom Cruise did.
What'd you say?
I said, sure you can. Tom Cruise did.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
He was the last one.
Yeah.
It's just far too much skill required to be a samurai or a
But that's
ninja.
what I'd want to be out of all the options.
Oh, it would be more fun for sure.
I want to be a samurai.
Although it occurred to me, like, when it happened in the movie, like, I want to plan a jailbreak. Like, I would be so on board with that little adventure.
Oh, well, can we talk? What happened there? How did that just explode?
Yeah, what blew up?
What happened?
I think we're left to believe that he put a stick of TNT in the cup of tea. Like,
What?
'cause
Of the
that's been
world's
piecing together the
tiniest-
pieces that I saw. That's about all I can figure out.
They made a big to-do about the teacup.
But he ended up
Yeah.
shooting the sheriff anyways. Why not just walk in there and kill the sheriff and get the guy out?
Right? Totally. I was like, can't he just hand him a gun through the window?
Yeah.
Like the window just has bars. He could just hand a gun through there.
I would have enjoyed planning something.
Yeah, the
I would
explosion
have
was
had
fun.
like 5 horses tied up to the window bars and
Trying to pull it.
rip off that wall.
Just destroy some horses. Leave them rigor mortis on the ground.
I was kind of disappointed in Dick Van Patten.
I
Like,
know.
Didn't do anything.
He had, what, 2 lines?
Was he just, that's what I was like, is he just the comedic relief of this film?
And that's what I was hoping for. Like, great, he's the comic relief, but then he's the sheriff. He has a problem opening the door to the jail, and that's the last we see of him.
Yeah.
Didn't someone shoot him?
Yeah, I guess he did get shot, but like he never really did anything funny except fumbling at the door of the jailhouse.
No.
I guess it was
definitely
kind of
felt
funny
like-
that he woke up with the prostitute.
Like, I can't imagine he's an actual character in the book. You know, like he felt like he was very much put in for the film. Like somebody was like, we need drama and comedy.
And he was a pretty big comedian at the time, and they just didn't use him.
Or maybe almost like there was more of his stuff that they shot, and then like the producers or whoever was like, we want it more serious, and they cut out all his jokes.
Maybe.
He got paid.
Yeah.
Get that paper, Van Patten. All right. So let's get some final thoughts here. Sam, what did you think of Westworld?
Well, through watching it, I said, wow, HBO had to have quite an imagination to see how this could become so awesome. I feel like we've watched a lot of other movies that have more potential to be more awesome than this. And I'm surprised at how cool Westworld became through HBO. Because this was flat and pretty boring.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine anyone seeing this movie and being like, yes,
Yeah.
let's do that.
I mean,
Yes, this is our next Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Everything we have into this.
yeah, I mean, more power to HBO because they did a great job. But I can't decide if it was just like there was potential there and they just wrote it so poorly, or if HBO like made a glorious, beautiful mountain out of a molehill. Like,
Well, that's the interesting question, right? Because the dude who wrote the book also wrote the screenplay. So, like, is the book better than the screenplay? And is he just not good at translating that sort of thing into
I
a
don't
screenplay?
know, because who wrote the screenplay for Jurassic Park? Was that because Spielberg directed it, right? So
Right.
David
It wasn't
Koepp?
Crichton,
His-
though.
Yeah, I think it was David Koepp. Yeah, I feel like maybe Crichton realized he wasn't cut out to direct films.
Yeah.
And just because he
Because it's
backed off of
completely
that.
different. Like, I've written both book form writing and screenplay writing, and it's very different because in a book you can say the character felt this way or the character thought this thing, and you can give so much more depth into the character that way, while in screenwriting it's all show. They have to either say it or do it.
Yeah.
And you can't rely on saying John suddenly felt sick, or
Yeah.
whatever. You
That's-
have to show it. Yeah.
that's totally
Unless you
true.
use voiceover narration.
Yeah, in art school, they made us draw out a scene with only using basic shapes, and you had to convey like a random emotion that you drew out of a hat. And
So you had like the robot vision you had to draw.
no. Like, so it'd be like anger, and then you'd have to like draw anger with like shapes. And it's all like you can convey just as much as words with visualization, but it's so much harder because,
Yeah.
I mean, not that writing isn't difficult, but it's like people react to visuals differently. So you have to find something so universal that it reads. So,
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of goes back to your point of, Nick, your point of why would you read a play and not see it? Because a play is even more the perfect example of like you don't even have screen direction. Like it's just dialogue.
Yeah, I don't think you need to drive too far that point. Like, yeah, writing for a book and screen is so different.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I think we'll agree that Crichton is one of the best novelists out there. And like clearly he's a great writer of books. But maybe he realized this just really isn't my jam.
Yeah. I mean, he is a good writer. I think he kind of struggles with character a little bit even in his novels.
Yeah. His strength is the research, the science.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I was
And the
trying to
concept.
read the sequel to Jurassic Park and it's just fucking boring because again, I don't give a shit about any of the
care about the
characters.
Even the
So-
characters in Jurassic Park, as great as that book is, I mean,
Yeah,
'cause
there's
Alan
still
Grant
kind of
likes kids in that book. You know, he's down to hang out with the kids. He doesn't have a thing to overcome, and it was genius
Yeah.
for them in the movie to be like, how about he doesn't like kids since he's going to have to be stuck with them.
totally. Yeah. How about we give him a character arc? So
Right.
he
Yeah.
has this reversal moment.
He's not
Have
just
you heard
perfect
of
to begin
this
with.
thing?
Huh?
Yeah.
people change? What?
I like the only person in Westworld who had in this movie that we just saw that had a character arc was, I guess, mustache guy Mario, who, oh my god, he even had the mustache. It just hit me.
That was the whole gag.
But like he had a slight character arc in the very beginning where he was like, well, I don't know, I'm a little nervous. Like, what should I do? And then instantly he's over it. Like that.
I
I
mean,
like
he
that moment where he's like, this place is really fun.
Yeah. Like fucking 5-year-old.
he picks the first fight too, like in the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
for no reason.
Well, and his buddy kind of pushed him into it.
Yeah, Christian
Yeah.
Bale told him to.
Christian, get your shit
So-
together.
On your point, Sam, is this movie is the TV show unique as a good remake? Because a lot of times you do a remake and it falls flat.
Interesting.
Now-
Yeah.
Adam's Family comes to mind, which
Yeah.
was remade through several generations and stayed pretty good.
Huh. I was gonna say, is that
You
the
know.
secret to remakes? Is start with something pretty shitty, so there's only upward to go.
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Maybe.
All right.
No risks.
So who's gonna remake Legend?
How dare you?
Let's just not ever.
Rewatch it again.
No, I did. I agree, actually.
Okay.
So what'd you think, Brett?
Well, I really just wasn't super into this movie. Having seen the much better TV show, we've kind of hit all of the points. Is like there were hints of much better plots in the movie, and the TV show found them and made them better. And so I can't endorse watching this film ever again. But the show, God, I'm happy that somebody went back and remade it
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
With Anthony Hopkins.
with Anthony fucking Hopkins.
and
so good.
Tandy Newton doing the work of her career.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. She's
Yeah.
always been phenomenal though.
She's amazing.
I don't think the questions the show asks anyone could make until now though, because I don't think we've hit that point with technology.
Yeah, in 73 where they're like, what if computers became intelligent?
Yeah.
Like I don't think they ever put
Had
that
this
together.
concept of like, wait, what if
Well,
they were really like humans?
It's a little bit of the like the pop culture sci-fi horror thing. It's whatever is the hot button topic is the
Yeah.
scary thing. And
true.
in the 70s it wasn't even like what if computers became smart. It was just like, well, there's computers everywhere. Why are there computers everywhere? And like nowadays we actually have, everyone's got a fucking robot on their phone answering questions. And the logical the next step is like, if you could have a conversation with this thing, like how how long until we can consider it alive, and that's what the Westworld show is about. It's just
How
pop
long
culture.
until we fall in love with it?
Yeah.
So are you saying that the film is the fear mongering of don't let technology get too advanced?
The film and the show.
True.
It's just everything. It's just making current events scary.
But the thing about the show is that the danger was not that they made the robots too powerful. The danger is that they abused the robots and their rights. Because the
Don't
robots
have rights of robots.
I
Yeah.
mean, you could argue on the evil Nick side of the argument that their error was making the robots too sentient. Like, let's just make them a little bit dumber, and then none of this will happen.
Yeah, but that's not why they don't revolt because they're sentient. They revolt because they're mistreated.
Well, yeah, because I feel like we said, the show and the show and the movie are asking two different questions. And in the 70s, with technology as it was, you were more afraid of like, oh, I hope this I hope my tractor doesn't malfunction. I hope this candy dispenser doesn't crush my hand if I try to reach in for candy. It was like mechanical things.
Yeah.
But with the show, they brought in that line of these violent, delights have violent ends. And it was all about humans wanting violence. And it was focused more on the humans and how they eventually became the villains. And in a lot of ways, it might have been an analog to, gun violence today. The fact that a lot of Americans seem to want to go back to the Wild West nowadays. So it almost seems more timely, I feel like, nowadays. So maybe it just wasn't right in the 70s. Maybe it was waiting for now.
Huh.
Well, the thing that the show always reminded me of is a video game. It's like the real life version of a video game.
Yeah.
And that sort of mentality, like for example, there's a scene in this movie where there's a dead dog on a table and Nick went, "Oh, somebody shot a dog." But I was just talking to a friend of mine who played Watch Dogs 2 and went around shooting a bunch of dogs. And it's like, that's just sort
That's a
of
psychopath
a
test.
video game. It is a psychopath test, but it's like, sort of this video game culture that I feel like the show maybe is commenting on too. I don't know.
That's funny that you mentioned the video games thing, because I totally had that thought about the Man in Black in this was the reminiscent of the early 2000s like shooter video games where they couldn't afford to have enough different characters, and so you would just walk into a room and keep killing the same guy over and over in every room.
Yeah.
So are we not left in this movie with sort of the same theme of you went on a mission to enjoy the violence, and this is what happened. You reaped
That's true.
real
Yeah.
violence.
I get
Yeah, I
that.
guess so.
Walking out of this theater in 73, I feel like you kind of get the same point.
That's true. It just didn't have the emotional depth and weight that the show does because we just didn't care about the characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's true. That it was shocking to find out that girl was a robot, and it's shocking to find out Bernard's a robot, but we care more with
So-
Bernard. And
These violent delights that
Yeah.
Mario was seeking had violent ends.
Mario, if you just stop killing those owls,
Stop
mushroom
stepping on turtles.
turtles.
So my general feeling,
He's dead.
I think this probably is a good example of the point of our podcast, because I think in a world of 1973, this would have been a very enjoyable light horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that we've seen these ideas more fleshed out and we're more accustomed to a modern way of telling stories, it feels flat. But in 73, I think this was probably a very good, fairly haunting movie.
Yeah.
And I think Yul Brynner did a good job of being a very creepy robot
Oh,
that
yeah.
people would have been afraid of.
Like with his hands on his belt all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're pointing out you can't quite place his ethnicity,
Yeah.
and he's completely bald.
Yeah.
He just kind of looks artificial.
He does.
Yeah. So Ash, what are your final thoughts?
Okay, so I know this isn't this is a weird review, but because I actually remember the trailer so vividly, I had even lower expectations of this film. So it actually was better than I expected, but it's still not a great film. So like I was kind of surprised that like there were things about it that I enjoyed, that I found interesting, and were a little bit better than I thought. But for the most part, it's just like we've already said. Like I think it's major fatal flaw is that there's no character development or character arcs, really. So I wouldn't recommend it, but I think if you're a huge fan of the show, it's an interesting thing to watch.
Yeah, it was an interesting exercise from that lens.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts, John?
I feel like you need to have seen this movie before you watch the show. Otherwise, it's just ruined.
I totally agree.
Because, I mean, if I hadn't seen the show already and I watched this, I would think it was a charming half horror movie from the 70s. And I like those movies. You know, like I love Maximum
Charming.
Overdrive.
So
You know, that
charming.
kind of stuff. But having seen the show first and then you watch this, it only scratches the surface. And obviously they were just trying to do so much in 2 hours that you just couldn't do. So even though I respect it and I think it was a good effort, yeah, just you got to see this before the show because the show is just so much more advanced.
I will say I do like how the movie addresses the big question that I've had through the whole series is how do the guns not shoot normal people?
Yeah.
Because they don't address that. And so I appreciated finally getting an answer.
Yeah, that always bugged me.
The show threw like a weird wrench in it though, because the guns did shoot people and it did just like shot paintballs or some shit, like it bruised them.
Yeah, well, that's what
Yeah.
was confusing about the show. And I mentioned to these guys while we were watching it, it's like in the first couple episodes, the robots tried to shoot the man in black and they kind of like the bullets kind of matrix around him. But then later in the show, he actually gets hit and it just like leaves a bruise, like he was wearing a bulletproof vest, basically. So why the discrepancy? Was that intentional? Was that a change over time? Like,
I just generally find the science of the show so difficult to buy into.
Yeah.
Like, if
Yeah.
possible, the stuff would be so expensive, it would never be practical.
$42K a day?
Also, if the robot punches you, that's not going to, just
Yeah.
be a bruise or something. Or if it stabs you, like if you're in samurai world and they use the sword, that's not going to,
Totally.
be like,
Well,
oh,
wasn't there
they're
an
warm.
episode-
Don't stab them.
Yeah.
Like, towards the end, when the one guy got stabbed by the militia guys.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're not supposed to be able to stab me. So that was kind of a moment where it was incorporated into the breakdown,
Oh, yeah.
I think, if I'm remembering right.
But then the bigger question that I have that stems off of that neither the show or the movie answered is how does another human not shoot or stab another human?
Yeah.
Because if you can't tell the fucking difference, at least in the movie, you can like there's something to tell the difference, but in the show, it's like, how do you know?
Yeah, like in that Looney Tunes bar fight, like how are they to know they weren't just savagely beating another guest?
Pushing another guest off the balcony or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
Or like,
Smashing a
the
whiskey
breaking
bottle
of
on
the
his head.
bottles. Like how do you not cut someone up super bad?
Yeah. I mean, it could all be, I guess you could say it's prop glass because you can do that with prop glass because it's sugar glass
Yeah.
and you can still get cut, but it's not as bad. But I mean, that's a lot of sugar glass.
Yeah, they were also beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, like, sure, the TV show part cost what $30,000 a day or whatever, but it's possible to do more damage than that. Like,
Yeah.
have they never had like a serial arsonist come into the park?
Right? Totally.
I mean, well, there's got to be fire safety stuff. But then again,
Like if you go around lighting fires intentionally in Westworld, is the park gonna stop you?
well, how
Well,
did
there
that
was the
fire?
time-
Yeah.
There's the time where he's like trying to get out of the jail, and then they cut back to the control room, and the lady's like, I have a request for pyrotechnics in section whatever. And I was like, wait, what? Like, how
Yeah.
does that even work?
And then, but when Maeve and the snake dude, they like catch
Right.
their wagon on fire. So why was that
Yeah.
allowed to happen? Like,
I don't know.
And how did they put that fire out? So many questions.
Westworld,
Yeah, I don't know that
questions.
Westworld really stands up to scrutiny. Let's just enjoy some of the best acting on TV and not try and analyze the science.
Yeah.
So what'd you think, Bryce?
Was better than Lady Hawk.
Really? Really? You liked it better than Lady Hawk?
I could watch this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Bryce didn't leave.
That's true. You did leave during Lady Hawk.
This one did feel a lot shorter.
I think it may have been it was an hour and a half. I don't remember what Lady Hawk was.
Too
I
long.
don't know. It was a lot of hawking.
So, John, where are we going to find your stuff? I'm sure we can search for Charming Cheetah on YouTube. Do you have a Twitter or anything like that?
Yeah, it's all just under Charming Cheetah. I think our email is charmingcheetahcomedy@gmail.com. And yeah, check it out. We got some videos up on YouTube, and we're going to try to do one a month here in 2017.
Ambitious.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, man. I respect that.
It's hard, though.
It's very hard. I did do a web series when we first got to LA. Me and my writing partner, David Hill, who's also in this sketch group, Charming Cheetah. We did a web series, and we had an episode every Tuesday, and we did that for like a year and a half.
Wow.
And that was-
How long?
Nuts.
How long was each episode?
oh, they would be like a minute to 5 minutes.
Okay.
So really short. But yeah, I remember, basically the first 2 years just staying up till 3:00 in the morning on Monday night. Just everything that could go wrong does go wrong.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Did
When
it,
we
man.
first started, we were trying to do one a month, but we were doing like really ambitious, like, let's do a music video. And it was
Lots
just
of graphics.
unrealistic. Yeah. Lots of.
Yeah, I feel like a lot
it's
of
like-
people don't even realize that even the really simple short YouTube videos, it still takes time and effort, no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got to go to work and have a job and do everything that people
And
do
eat
with
that,
their lives.
what is it, food? Yes, food.
Yes. Make money.
So thanks for rewatching Westworld with us. We do this every 2 weeks.
If you like the show, this is part of the Laugh Stash TV network of content. It's this podcast and a YouTube channel, Laugh Stash TV, where we've got a drinking show with me and Ash, a cooking show, and some video game parodies, and occasionally other things.
Yes. Other things.
Time permitting.
You can also follow us on Twitter. So you can follow Laughstash at Laughstash TV, or you can follow this podcast at Let's Rewatch on Twitter as well. And the Laughstash content on YouTube is Laughstash TV as well. But if you follow our podcast on Twitter, you get to do fun stuff like guessing the movie. So every time we watch a movie, I tweet a screen grab, and this time was very hard because it was totally the fucked up robot vision, all pixelated. But
I think it's an awesome choice for a picture.
yeah, but 2 people got it right.
Nice.
Rogue Brundle got it right, and Ellie Phillips. So good job, guys. Ellie was actually first.
Woo.
I'll give you extra points. And Rogue was second and gave me this amazing gif of the dude with his face melting.
Nice.
What were the wrong guesses?
Oh, somebody guessed Dances with Wolves. Mary Jo Smith guessed
What?
Dances with Wolves. I don't know. I haven't seen Dances with Wolves.
I don't
so
think there's any pixelated point of view shots.
There's
I
a
don't
lot
know.
of robots in Dances with Wolves.
yeah. Okay.
Who
Those
do
are
you
the
think's
wolves,
Dancing
right?
with
The
the Wolves?
Can't teach
wolves.
wolves
Kevin
robots.
Costner's acting. Hello.
Did you know that
I'll see myself
wolves and
out.
robots mate for life?
Oh God.
No.
Is that it? Is that all my things?
Samsung?
Yeah.
Oh, and if you like the show, please go ahead and give us a review on iTunes or Google Play Music. Is that right?
Yeah, that's kind of all
Done.
we're pushing.
Bam!
We're really good at podcasting, John.
This is
also,
fun.
We're also on Stitcher and
Live-
another network that I can never remember the name of, and we've never pitched it. So it's out there. Go find it.
And since we are on Google Play Music, if you have a Google Home, you can say, hey, Google, play the podcast Let's Rewatch. And it totally works.
But remember,
Ooh.
it's not real. It doesn't have emotions.
No, it does not.
So don't fall in love with it.
It's not a she, it's an it.
I say thank you to my Google because when that shit comes alive, I want to be on its
you
good
know
side.
why I say please and thank you? Because I don't want to die in the robot rebellion.
Yes.
You know it.
Yes.
Dumb.
True story.
Whatever.
Cool. Well, thanks a lot for joining us, John.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
And we'll see you again in another 2 weeks. Make sure your subscriptions are up to date for the next episode of Let's Rewatch.
Yeah, next time we're going to be watching Excessive Force 2, Force on Force.
Like
Some of that hot force on force
like
action.
Star Wars Force Daddy Force.
Is that legal now?